Going live in 3, 2, and...
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Hidey High reunion. Thank you so much for joining us. And it's time for me to say, cast of Hidey High! Hidey High!
Howdy,
Howdy,
howdy.
Brilliant. So, guys, would you like to introduce yourselves to anyone who... I was going to say who doesn't know who you are. Everyone knows who you are. Let's just hear some words from you. What character did you play in Hidey High? Let's start with Ruth.
I'm Ruth Madoc and I played Gladys Pugh in Hidey High.
Brilliant. And Jeff?
Certainly did. And I'm Jeffrey Holland and I played Spike Dixon in Hidey High.
Awesome. The lovely Linda.
And I'm Linda Regan. I played April in Hidey High, who was in love with Jeffrey Holland and got engaged to him and then got jilted. Just thought I'd drop that in.
Oh, still sore. Okay, good. And Ricky?
Hi, I'm Ricky Howard, and I was Betty, I think.
Thank you. And David?
Hi, I'm David Webb, one half of the Webb twins, the good-looking half.
Yes.
My twin brother Tony and I played Stanley and Bruce, the twin Yellowcoats.
Great. Now, I should say, before I continue, we are dedicating this one to John Jackson, Ruth's husband, who sadly passed away a few months ago. We all send our condolences over to Ruth. And Ruth, thank you so much for joining us on this call. It really wouldn't be the same without you. So a really, really big thank you for joining us. Okay, cool. So I will now run you through the schedule. I'll let you know exactly how the call is going to go. So in a moment, we'll find out what we are fundraising for. I'll also let you know how you can donate. We'll then have the cast share their favourite memories and bloopers, which were not shared on the call last year. Next, we have a quiz very kindly put together by Chris Hooch. And then we go into a fan Q&A with a rough finishing time of 9 p.m, although I'll probably try and do a last man standing thing again, as I did with last year. Now, the YouTube stream can be a little bit glitchy, just to let you know. So there might be a bit of a time delay for any questions which are actually asked. So as I said, the big change from the one that we did last year to the one this year is that this one is a fundraiser. And we're raising money for Thomas and other causes supported by the Lady Ratlings that Ruth and Linda have both been members of. Now, in a moment, I'll pass you over to Ian, Thomas's dad, who will share a bit more about Thomas's condition. But first of all, I'll let you know how you can donate. So if you look to the right of this screen, under where you can write a message, you will see 3 icons. There'll be a smiley face, a $sign, and a bar chart. Forget the bar chart, it's a poll. It's boring. Don't worry about that. The smiley face, that's just emojis. Now, if you click on the $sign, a pop-up will ask you for your card details. You can then write a comment and donate some money. You can donate as little as £1, and there's no upper limit. The comment can be something that you want a cast member to hear, or it can be a question. So the more you donate, the longer your comment question will be displayed. Now, a slight caveat. If you donate £50 or more, I will interrupt whatever is going on to ask your question. The only exception being is if your comment is offensive, then of course I'll have to moderate it, because that's just... You can't let rude things get through the net. So I'll now pass you over to Ian, who will let you know a bit more about Thomas and why we were here fundraising.
Thank you, Kevin. This is Thomas. Say hello, Thomas. Hello. Thomas was born 103 days too soon with his twin sister, Mia, and he spent a long time in hospital, and the result of that is he's got cerebral palsy, cortical visual impairment, epilepsy and hydrocephalus, but he's with us and he's happy. Aren't you, Thomas? And we're adapting his home, and Thomas has just moved into an electric wheelchair. One of the things we needed was the wheelchair lift, but it was £10,338. And we wrote to a number of charities, being such a big item, could they help us? And one of those was the Lady Ratlings. And we wrote in asking for 1,500, and they completely bulls out of the park by telling us not only were they going to grant us, but they were going to grant us £7,338, which is a huge amount of money. And it means that instead of writing to lots of charities, we've fully funded it. And so Thomas will be able to get into the garden. Won't you, Thomas? And we just want to thank everybody involved for helping us so much. it was just a big weight of our mind because such an expensive item, and now it's funded, and Thomas will be able to get in his wheelchair out into the garden. So just thank you, everybody at the Ratlings, for helping support Thomas. Thank you. Say thank you, Thomas. You can say thank you.
Well, that's what we're there for.
Yeah, bless you. Bless you.
I think he couldn't see anything. He was just getting a bit because Kevin disappeared. He couldn't. You wanted to see Kevin, didn't you?
Oh wait, I can reappear, but let me reappear quickly on your Zoom. There I am. Hi, Thomas.
So just thank you very much for all the tremendous work you do. I mean, our project is now funded, so whoever the next recipient is, it's just a fantastic charity, and thank you for helping us so much.
Great. Well, Ian, thank you so much for coming on the call. And a big thank you to Charlotte, by the way, who's just donated. She's our first donation of the evening. No comment, no question. She's just given us £17.99, a very specific amount. Thank you very much, Charlotte. We appreciate that. And Ian, is Thomas a fan of Hidey High?
We have had a xylophone. I've been desperately trying to get him to do the bongs, but with limited success, I'm afraid.
Oh, no worries. Well, Ian, thank you so much for, like I say, joining us on this call and making us aware of Thomas. And as Ian did say, the Lady Ratlings do support a lot of other causes very similar to Thomas's cause. So any more money that we raise today will go not only towards what happened with Thomas, but also other causes as well. And a big thank you to Barry as well for donating £5. An amazing show, so many highlights. Do you think it could ever be revived? If so, which star could try and replicate your role? Let's chuck that one over to who wants to take that one? Cast members? Jeff,
well,
how about you?
Oh, I don't know.
Volunteer for that. But Hidey High was such an iconic series with iconic characters, and it's difficult to recreate them. But having said that, the amateur dramatic companies now are doing the Hidey High stage show all over the country all the time. And I get requests for sending emails for first nights to wish them all well, and I always say, I just hope you have as much fun doing it as we had making the originals. And I'm sure they do. I really do. But as far as professional comebacks are concerned, you can't recreate a show like that. Really, it's difficult to try. I know they tried recently with Are You Being Served? Mm-hmm. They tried to recreate that, but for me, it didn't quite work. But the intention was there. Mm. But why bother when the videos are available, the DVDs are on sale, the programs are being repeated on Gold and Drama. So, let's just keep it all out there. Thank goodness it still is.
Exactly. Don't mess with the classics. I agree. Don't mess and recreate and revive classics, especially things like Horse and Horses. That was a bad idea. Another thank you to Chris Gooch, who is our quizmaster today. Thank you for donating 20. And Dwayne Phillips, thank you for the €10 and the weird tiger with the heart. Thank you for that.
He's a friend of mine. Thank you, Dwayne. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Cool. So, guys, let's jump into memories and bloopers from the show. Obviously, try not to repeat what we shared last year. But I will start with actually, instead of working my way through, I'll just kind of leave it open to you guys. Who would like to share a memory or blooper from Hidey High?
Well, of course, there is the icon one. Kevin, there is the icon one where we got stuck, literally, in a great big wagon, and we went into the shallow part of the Olympic, say, swimming pool.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think any of us will ever forget that, because we were told it could only be done once. And what was happening was, it was the carnival, actually, the episode of the carnival. And we were all doing various things. And I was it was all Wild West, of course, Wild West we were playing. And everybody's dressed up as either cowboys, or I was the maiden on a totem pole with a fire around me, and it was a real fire. That was the point.
There's a real fire.
It was a real fire. I couldn't believe it. I looked down and they lit this fire around me. And then suddenly that was going to be put out by going into the Olympic side swimming pool in the shallow end. Well, that occurred. But the problem was that poor old Simon, who was on the front of this wagon, literally went under the wagon. And it was the Yellowcoats with the twins and one of the other guys that actually got Simon out of the drink, didn't you, David?
I was at the sharp end. I think it's a slightly different view of that.
Well, you were at the sharp end, were you?
At the very sharp end, because we were on the sharp. We were pulling the cart. We were at the shafts. We were pulling. There were four of us. There was Chris Andrews and my brother Tony on the right-hand shaft. I was on the left hand with Barry Howard, and we were dressed as cavalry officers, F Troop Cavalry. Remember, guys? I don't know what the F stood for, but anyway, we were wearing these fiberglass horses which had slung over our shoulders, and we hadn't rehearsed running into the water with these fiberglass horses. And the minute we hit the water, the drag of the water on the horses just took us under. And Chris Andrews was badly affected. He was under the shaft. Tony went under. I think Jeff rescued Tony, but Simon saw the danger, jumped down and rescued Chris Andrews. And it was Chris
Andrews, was it? It was
a dodgy situation. I managed to stay afloat with Barry on the left-hand side. But David later said that of all the shows he produced, that was the closest he'd come to a tragedy. We did have a restraining wire on the back and safety officers standing by, but the wire was down to a single thread. So it was a very, very frightening moment. Then they wanted to do it again, didn't they?
Well, no, they didn't really. They couldn't do it again. You remember, we were told we had 4 cameras on it, and we couldn't do it again. I'm glad we didn't, because I mean, it was really treacherous.
It was very dangerous, and we
very dangerous. You know, Chris survived it. Chris Andrews survived it.
Yes, bless him.
All the pool stuff, you know, involving me being chucked in and all that stuff, was much the same. It was only one take. Because once you're wet, you're wet. You can't get out and dry and do it again.
And also, it's the drag, isn't it, Jeff? You know, of the water in those shark's costume, whatever you had on, you know, that would pull you down.
That's right, it did. It used to pull me down. I used to wear a wetsuit under the costume most of the time I was chucked in the pool. But there was one occasion when I couldn't. And that was when when it was in the episode called Peggy's Big Chance, when they put Sue in the rubber shark.
That's right.
Ricky, you can tell this because you were one of the two, you and Nikki, you had to get in your bikinis.
Yes.
Dive into that.
It felt like it was -3 and the water was -5. It felt like, it was absolutely freezing. But it was like in and out. I've never swum so fast in my life. Olympic pool, Olympic swimming. It was very cold.
It was
very, very cold.
That sequence actually should have been shot at the end of September, but for technical reasons, they couldn't shoot it until the middle of October.
Yeah.
They did get an industrial heater in, didn't they? Tried to warm the pool up.
Warm the water up.
Didn't work,
it didn't work, and I think it would have been cheaper if we'd have stood by the pool, peed in the pool. It would have had the same effect, I think.
Guys, I just want to say a few on the back of that P comment. I just want to say a few thank yous to a few donations that have come in. Thank you to Daniel Marsh, who's donated £10. Thank you to Sarah Louise as well, who's donated £10. Ian, I think that's the same Ian that we heard from. Ian, Dada Thomas, he's donated £20. Thank you, Ian. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you to Paul for donating £5. We have our first question attached to a donation as well. This is from, Cece? Hidey Hi Gang, thank you all so much for the laughs. I was wondering if the cast could share, their memories of Diane, Holland and Barry Howard. Who would like to take that one?
Oh, well, they were wonderful. I mean, Diane, which is what her name was, Diane Holland, and that's how she liked to be called. She was the sister-in-law, actually, of Jimmy Perry. And she was an adagio dancer originally. And she had terrible arthritis, poor darling. But you'd have never, ever known, would you?
No.
Boys and girls, you'd have never, ever known. She never complained once.
No.
And she was a very great, lovely, lovely dancer in her day, but she did a great job. But they used to make me laugh because they sort of did things secretly. I never saw them rehearse. Did anybody see them rehearse?
They're always their agent, weren't they?
Yes. They just came on, glided on, and did it. You know, but I never saw them rehearse.
And I've spoken to Barry, we all have, but Barry never appreciated how good he was. He was brilliant in that part.
He was.
It was a wonderful partnership, but Barry never felt that he cracked it, but he certainly did. Brilliant.
Oh, I said, yeah. So it was very obvious that he did.
Yeah.
By all the.
Diane had a terrible arthritis in the hips.
Yeah, she did.
He walked with a limp, but on the show, when they said action, never know. You'd never know. Amazing. She danced perfectly.
Yeah.
With a good right hand as well, hadn't she, Jeff? Because she gave Paul one, didn't she?
Well, that's right.
He was rude about her breast, and she slapped him.
Nation,
That's right. Yeah.
Talking of wax, Linda.
Yes, I know. Well, we did that last year, but yeah, I mean, do you want to tell it again? Should we tell it again?
It's a good story. Yeah, why not?
Okay, well, I had a smack. I had to smack darling Jeff after a scene. I can't remember what the scene was, but I had to smack him. And then when we went into the first day, the read-through, David said to me, "Oh, well, you're going to have to smack Jeff." And I said, "No, that's fine. I'll do it on Friday," which was the studio day. And then he said, "We'll do it at some time during the rehearsal." Well, I didn't see any point. I mean, I'd done a play recently called Extremities, where I got beaten to death every night, 8 shows a week. So I wasn't about to hurt somebody else when I know what it's like. So I didn't. I kept just going tap, tap. And David was getting crosser and crosser. He kept saying, "You must hit Jeff." I said, "Okay, I'll do it in the dress rehearsal." We got into the studio and I thought, I don't want to do it and hurt Jeff on the dress rehearsal. He's then got to do, he has so much to do in the show. I won't. He knows I'm going to hit him. And they kept saying, "You're going to do it, blah, blah, blah." And I think they all thought I wasn't, because Robin Carr said he was on the edge of the table watching. And of course, when it came to the moment, I cracked him. And I really cracked him into sort of 7 bells, didn't I? Poor Jeff. But it was my fault, and I take all the blame, because I should have warned him that I had a sharp left hand.
It was my fault entirely, because we said, pull the slap until the take. When we do the take, you go for it. You just belt me one, because you can't. There's nothing worse than a pulled slap on camera. It looks all weak and wrong. So I said, "You go hit me. You belt me one." So she did, but it wasn't the fingers on the cheek. It was the heel of her hand on my cheek.
Oh.
It sort of went astray, didn't it? And it hit me. Oh, I was seeing stars. I was absolutely reeling. If you see the scene, you'll notice how I'm staggering a bit.
And you had a lot of dialogue in the next scene, and I could see, and I kept thinking, "Oh my God, I think I've killed him."
A comment from Nella that's quite funny. "Must have been so hard to hit that adorable face."
Oh, it was. I've never stopped feeling guilty.
Oh, no, my choice, my word. That was me, not you.
Well, we'll both take the blame. Anyway, but I'm glad you're here to tell the tale. That's what I can say.
You hit me across the face once as well, Ruth, didn't you?
Oh yes.
We were outside the chalets. I was dressed.
That's right. I had to do. There was a bit of slapping going on, wasn't there?
Costume of some sort. I don't know why. I said something to Gladys, and Gladys took offence
and she slapped him. Did I do it bad? I mean, was it a really awful slap?
Oh, you meant it, my darling.
Oh dear.
Whoa! We got our first $50 donation. That's having me interrupt proceedings, as I said I would. So Michael Alessandro. I'm not going to try and pronounce the second part of your name. I don't want to muck it up. But the last episode was extremely poignant and beautifully represented the end of an era. How much research, I'm guessing, went into the authenticity of the holiday camps?
Oh, Jimmy and David knew it, didn't they? Jimmy Perry had been a redcoat at Butlins. David Croft had produced variety shows, professional shows at different holiday camps throughout. those guys knew what they were writing about. Absolutely, they'd met the Ted Bovises and the Grandpa Old children's entertainers. So they, as their previous shows, they just wrote about what they knew about, and so great research wasn't needed, I guess, because they just knew it.
I think the way that last episode with Peggy getting her yellow coat was absolutely, appropriate. Because how many years did we do it? About 7 years. And, she was
8 years
on the brink of getting this yellow coat and never got it.
I think we always said right from the start, if Peggy wants to be a Yellowcoat, she should be given the Yellowcoat, but not until the last episode.
Yes, absolutely.
Jimmy had that same thought.
Yes, and it was just absolutely brilliant the way they did it. But it's the writing, isn't it? Because they knew their subject.
Yes.
Or they knew it like the back of their hands. So therefore, all we had to do was interpret it. We weren't allowed to alter one syllable of the script. It was just, and if you wanted to, I remember them once saying to me, "You don't seem very comfortable." It was something about a Welsh way of pronouncing something. And I said, "Well, forgive me for saying so, but this is how you would do it in a Welsh accent." And they let me keep it in. But that was about the only time. And the other time when they said, "You can ad-lib" to me. "Oh, ad-lib." I said, "Are you sure, David?" He said, "Yes." He said, it was the scene in the office with Simon Cadell, where Gladys had brought in a bottle of champagne she had given to her. And I'm going to open it because I was told to open it on camera. And I didn't know. But David had got the props lads to shake the thing up. So it went everywhere. And he said to me, "If it goes everywhere, Ruth." I said, "What do you mean if it goes everywhere? It's not going to go anywhere." He said, "If it does, what are you going to say?" I said, oh, we are feeling frisky tonight. And that was it. That's what I did in the tape, because it did go everywhere. But it was purely because David had decided that the props boys were going to shake it up. I couldn't believe it. I opened it up and there it went everywhere. Of course, I have to say, Sam Cadell was in on the joke.
Which leads me quite nicely into another question that we've had with a donation attached. I just want to say thank you to Carl for donating 10. After this question, by the way, I want to get to Ricky. I think she might not be with us for that long, so I'd really like to hear something, maybe a memory or a blooper from Ricky after this one. So question from Andrew. Lovely to see you all. Can the team share their memories of working with Simon Cadell?
Wonderful man. I mean, watching Simon work was like watching a masterclass, wasn't it? It was just incredible. He left us early, of course, to go and do Shakespeare, and he's passing at the age of 45 was just a tragedy. Just a wonderful, wonderful actor. And I had a little chat with him one day. I remember he used to say he never wanted to know what he'd be doing in 6 months' time. He just liked to live, as we went along. But he was just a wonderful man. Just such a sad loss.
Yeah.
Well, when he decided to leave, David, and I can tell you now, because it was in the second series, and he didn't tell us so. He told me not to tell anybody, and of course I didn't. And he said to me, "I'm going to stay on for 4, and then I will leave." And I said, "Are you sure, David? Are you sure, Simon?" And he said, "Yes," he said, "primarily because of exactly what you said."
Yeah.
He liked to go on. He didn't want to be stuck. But he said to me, "And I would like to see you go with me, Ruth, your character." And I said, "Well, I can't really do that." I said, "I've got a girl in a private school and I need as much money as I can possibly get, because I had a lot of people that I was looking after, i.e. my family. And he said, oh, that's a shame. He said, don't say anything to anybody. And I didn't. So, but I knew all along when he was going to go. And I didn't say anything to David. I didn't say anything to Jimmy, because I knew that I would be staying on. So it was his decision to go. And it was after the 4th series, I think he left.
Yeah, went to Henry V. They did Henry V.
Yeah, you know. But it was because it wasn't anything to do with the fact that he didn't like Hidey or he got fed up with it. It was to do with the fact that he needed to carry on. He needed to expand. And of course, as we've all said, you know, he was a past master at acting, and that light touch, that comedic light touch. And, you know, to have Bell's palsy, which he was born with, and then to use it as something that, you know, made people laugh was amazing. Yeah. He was like acting with velvet. Yeah. He really, really was.
That's a really beautiful description. Ricky, I'm kind of wary that you said that before you might need to leave quite soon, so I'd love to. We do have 1 or 2 other questions on the chat, but Ricky, I do want to hear from you before we lose you at any point. So do you have any memories of like nice memories or blooper memories that you can share?
Well, I was talking to Nikki earlier today, and she's really sorry she can't be here tonight. And unfortunately, all our memories are sort of not able to be spoken about on camera. It's the best way of putting it, I suppose, because we used to do a lot of tricks on each other. I think the whole thing of Hidey was extraordinary. I remember you were asked earlier, somebody asked about the authenticity. And I remember the pilot, and we were asked, we ended up staying in the original chalets. Do you And I mean, these original chalets were from the 50s. And it was like, am I allowed to swear on this? Are there any children watching? But I remember somebody...
I think you're good.
I remember somebody, I think it was the wonderful makeup artist whose name I've forgotten. And she just said, you know, it was kind of that really old line from Holiday. Who do I have to get off this set? Because they were so damp and so horrible. And I remember just... It was extraordinary, and I haven't had a lot to do recently, as you know, with coming to all these reunions, but my biggest memory was from that pilot, and everybody had a little bit, and it wasn't 100% decided really. I think they had an idea, but they were kind of going to watch what happened, who became the main characters. And I remember the moment when Su Pollard did 1 or 2 lines. She only literally had 1 or 2 lines, and it was so poignant and so like, ooh, and they went, okay, that's one of our main threads, and that's the other thread. And it's interesting thinking back now, because I don't think about it that much, that it was very clear from that pilot what they picked out to make the main threads and the main story.
Oh, yes.
So I find that fascinating looking back at it. Yes. What can I tell you? I bloopers. I really can't, because I will be probably something illegal. But
maybe if we get a donation big enough, maybe it might tip the balance.
Well, yeah, I think it was. I promised Nikki I wouldn't say anything. Yes, we had lots of giggles earlier where we were just shrieking with laughter about bloopers. I don't remember any bloopers.
Well, we got so proficient at actually doing it to camera. We used to do everything in one take. You know,
actually everything. I mean, it was one take wonders most of the time from all of you. You were brilliant. I remember my only greatest memory of being in Hidey High was I would go out, or I go to somebody's house and there'd be a supper party or something. People would say to you, hello, how lovely to see you again. I go, I've never met this person before, because I wasn't one of the main characters, but I was kind of beamed into people's televisions every Sunday evening, that they thought they kind of knew me. And I'd sit there for the whole supper going, yes, lovely, yay. And then at the end they go, oh my God, I've just realised I don't know you, you're Betty. And I go, yeah. That's one of my main memories of Hidey High, was the how incredibly, how much not influence, but how it was just in everybody's sitting room. And people thought they knew everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody saw me, and I only had a couple of lines a week, but they kind of thought, I know her. I've met her before, haven't I? And I think that was the brilliance of it, is all the characters were so real and poignant and difficult and spiky, and there was a little nod toward being gay before it was appropriate and before everything was it was un-PC. Nowadays it would obviously be very different. That it touched a lot of people. I
suppose now, Ricky, that would we be able to have done that comedy now? I'm not quite sure. You see, what with the woke lot,
it was based in the 50s, so you can get away with a lot.
Yes, you can get away with it.
You get away with it. But I think, Barry's character, it was always alluded to, but never actually.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And then other characters, there were other things that it was alluded to, but never actually spoken about. So I think that was the kind of brilliance of it. And it was that kind of gentility of the 50s where everybody didn't acknowledge or realise.
And a lot of the audience, of course, remembered the holiday camps with affection. This is just before, the continental holidays came in. So won members of Butlins, didn't they? A week's holiday for a week's pay was pretty natural.
Well, guys, sorry to interrupt. I just want to catch up on a few comments and a few donations just before we jump into the quiz. Thank you to Stephen Walker, who donated 10. Thank you to Martin, who donated 20. We had a cheeky question from the very generous Michael, who donated 50 earlier, asking how much will it take. I think that's in response to trying to get something a little bit cheeky out of Ricky. Is there any price on the really saucy stuff for the sake of charity?
My eternal friendship with Nikki, but apart from that, I don't know if there's a price.
Saucy stuff? What are you talking about?
Michael, make us an offer, and we'll put it forward. We'll see.
She'll never speak to me again.
Wow, she's not here, is she? She's not here tonight, so cool. So, guys, I know that you are sending in a lot of comments right now. I do need to move things on, and we will go into the fan Q&A section right after that, and I can backtrack and go into a few more of your comments. Also, just a reminder that this Hidey High reunion, this is a fundraiser. We are raising funds for not only Thomas, who we saw earlier, who has several conditions, but we're also raising money for the Cup of Kindness, who do many good causes and do raise money for lots of different types of things. So if you do want to put a question forward to the cast, I would like to encourage you to go into the chat box next door, go down next to the smiley emoji. You'll see like a $sign. If you click on that, you can enter your card details, you can write a question, and if you, depending on how much you donate, will depend on how long your question is highlighted for. Right, with that out of the way, we could jump into the quiz. Now I'm just going to grab the quiz questions, and basically I'm not going to be able to keep score reading the questions, so I'm going to rely on you, the fans, watching this to basically tell me who was won. So Chris, I'll ask you also to keep score as you put this quiz together, and also just a little shout out that Chris passed on, as he did put the quiz together for me. He is from Cambridge. He is a huge Hidey High fan. He devised the questions, and would like to thank all of the cast for the laughs you've given us over the years. And his daughter Phoebe, 13, is also a huge fan and wants to say Hidey High to you all. So there we go. That's from Chris.
Yes, Hody Ho.
Cool. So I will now start the quiz. We got round one, which is a guess who round. And basically, when you want to answer a question, just say your name. The screen will switch to you, and then you can answer. So, question number one: what's the name of Geoffrey Fairbrother's wife?
Oh,
Jeff.
Claire.
No. Anyone else? Anyone else? No.
Oh,
Marion.
No, I think Jeff got it. Jeff?
Daphne.
Yes, correct. 1 point to Jeff.
Like
Question.
Claire Oberman played it. That's why I thought it was.
Yeah,
All right, good.
absolutely.
All right, question 2. What was the French name of the Scottish girl that took a shining to Spike?
Francois.
Oh, Jeff is in there again. Boom. You didn't say your name, though, but I'll still give it to you. This time from now on, you need to say your name. All right, question 3. Who owned the chain of butcher stores that tried to get one over Joe Maplin?
Oh,
Gosh, I don't know.
That one.
No. Charlie Dawson will move on. Completing the name of Joe Maplin's right-hand hatchet man, the smiling what?
Viper.
Viper.
Oh, whoa. Lots of... Who said that first? I'm not sure.
we all did. The draw.
Yeah, we all do.
All right, it's a draw. All right.
We'll share the point.
Say again.
We'll share the point.
You'll share the point. 1 point to you. What was Jeffrey's big fluffy white dog called?
Fido.
Jeffrey.
No.
Snuffles.
No, that's not what I have on my list.
It's Jeffrey's point.
No, it's Bubbles, apparently. Bubbles.
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 Okay, no memory of that. What's the name of the resident band that played at Maplin's?
Ruth.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
Fred Larkin? No. and
No,
he's
it starts with
Debonair.
Bert, apparently. It starts with Bert.
Bert Swanley and his
Bert
Debonair.
Swanley and the Debonaires.
I think David, you kind of got in there just under before, Ruth. Can you say that again, David?
Bert Swanley and his Debonair.
Yes, you got it. 1 point to David. What's the name of the chap who helped Julian? Not sure of that name. Dairy Maple Sykes at his pig farm?
The pig farmer. Oh, Brian Bird. Brian Bird was
Billy
that.
Burden.
Oh, yeah.
Billy Burden. It was Billy Burden.
Billy Burden played it.
Billy Burden.
No, I need a character name. Mr. Something. Mr.
Oh, played by Billy Burden.
Played by Billy Burden.
Yes.
Bubbly Burden.
Mr. Turner. Mr. Turner. We'll move on. What is the name of the gangster that Fred thought he was going to get him in revenge for swindling a race at Brighton?
Got that. Big Mac.
Yeah,
Mac, wasn't
1
it?
point to Jeff. What's the name of Fred's horse that got poorly and Ted gave his winnings for the vet bill?
Oh gosh.
was it?
Oh, goodness. Me.
Bluebell.
No, it was Flight. And then last question of this round: what was Ted Bovis's ex-wife's first name?
Oh, Ricky.
Mavis.
No,
No.
think something Clinton. Something Clinton.
Hillary.
Yes,
Hillary.
yes, that's a point. I heard Jeff. That's Jeff.
Played by Ricky Lee.
Ricky Lee. Yeah, Ricky Lee.
Okay, I have no idea, but probably, yep. Okay.
Yeah, they're right.
Played by, yeah.
Cool.
What's happened to Ricky Lee? Fabulous artist.
Oh, wonderful. Dukes and Lee, double act. Great.
Yeah.
Right.
Did he die?
I think they have, but I don't
I
know.
think her husband did. I don't know if Ricky had.
Yeah, wonderful act.
He died just before she did it.
Oh, did he? Oh, bless him.
And
What a
then he
fantastic
died
actor.
afterwards.
And their son,
Not long afterwards.
his sons played drums in the stage version of Hidey.
That's right, their sons.
That's right, his son, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Two
Yeah.
sons. Goes
guitar, drums and guitar, wasn't it? In the stage show.
Yeah, one of the
Wonderful
best club acts ever.
the family.
Cool. So, guys, I got 2 more rounds. I only could do one of them, so we get onto the Q&A a bit more quickly. We got guess where and guess what. So, what would you prefer, guess where or guess what?
That's where.
Guess where.
Yeah.
All right, let's do that. So, guess where. Where did Gladys and Jeffrey get locked into when trying to scupper the plan for sabotaging the mighty mountain of
Baloo.
Pitzbaloo? That's the one.
We got locked in the Three Bears cottage.
Correct. 1 point to Ruth. Where did Jeffrey like to imagine he was when he couldn't sleep when he was a little boy?
Oh, is it a flower pot?
Yes, correct. That's another point to Jeff. Where was the new Maplin's intercontinental camp where Sylvia was going to relocate for winning Miss Yellowcoat?
In the Caribbean, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamaica. Was it Jamaica?
But
Barbados.
I got Bahamas, but yeah, I'll give Barbados. And then where would you find gold in them thar hills?
Oh, did they have a hunt something or other? Gold hunt, a treasure hunt?
No.
No.
No, that was a giant haystack. Which county links Geoffrey Fairbrother and Clive Dempster?
Cambridge?
Yes, that's a point to Jeff.
Cambridge, yeah.
Where did Barry injure his back, forcing the entertainment's team to find a replacement in Julian?
Sorry again?
Where did Barry injure his back, forcing the entertainment's team to find a replacement in Julian?
Oh,
In his chalet.
chalet, yeah.
No,
Hang
I
up
got
the wallpaper.
Power.
no, I got top of a ladder, and then we'll just do one more question. Where did Ted and Spike discover Uncle Sammy?
On the beach.
Yeah.
On the beach, correct. That's another one for Jeff. Cool,
Yay.
guys, give yourselves a round of applause. Well done.
Hey.
Well done.
Yay.
Well done,
We got lots of answers that came in on the chat as well. I think it's fairly clear to say. People on the chat, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Jeff won that.
Oh, he always does.
Pretty sure Jeff won. So well done to Jeff.
Hidey hi.
Howdy-ho. Cool.
Lovely.
So, guys, so we're now in the main fan Q&A section. So, as I said before, please do be encouraged to add a donation when you're asking your question. Happy to take any question for any cast member that we have. So, guys, this is really your section. Over to you. I will scroll up and grab one or two of the questions just as a little filler, just as we wait for the time delay to catch up on things. Let's see. Did Ricky appear in Are You Being Served? Did you appear, Ricky, in Are You Being Served?
Is Are You Being Served the French resistance one? What was that called?
No.
I said hello.
No,
Oh.
I didn't appear in Are You Being Served. I did a few episodes as a French resistance person.
Hello, wasn't it?
Hello, that was.
Yes.
No, I didn't do anything in Are You Being Served.
Okay, no worries. Let's see. What other questions we've got here? When Gladys's half-brother came, when did she shout to him in Welsh?
What? When her brother, he was. I think he was spying on somebody. He was like and I told him off in Welsh. He was spying.
Peeping Tom.
What, darling?
You're Peeping Tom.
Yeah, he was a peeping Tom.
And I love Calvin Thomas, who played your brother. He was so wonderful. He had this fabulous face with these great big teeth.
I know. He was wonderful, wasn't he?
Gladys said to him, there you are leering at all the girls.
That's it.
He
I'm
said,
not leering.
Gladys, I don't leer. My face leers, but I don't. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, he was very good at comedy. Our boy Talvin.
He worked with Doddy for years, didn't he?
He did. Well, I think they were vying for the teeth, weren't they? Yeah. Like that. He used to talk behind his teeth. Talvin. He
Here's
was
a.
always like that. I mean, I know him from being quite young, because his auntie was the butcher in our village that I lived in.
Cool. Here's an earlier question from Tim Wells. In the episode Best Yellowcoat, Ruth was falling off a diving board. How many extras was needed to do that scene?
I don't know.
27.
Here's a good couple of questions. Okay, so Emily, is that EMJ Richardson? Do you think Peggy should have been made a Yellowcoat? She was.
She was.
Last episode, right?
Was the last episode. She was given her yellow coat. Albeit the camp might have closed down, but she was given a yellow coat.
Here's one from Zoom Karaoke official YouTube channel. They obviously love their karaoke. Please can Ruth sing a bit of Boom? Why does my heart go boom? And they've donated £17.99, so thank you so much for that.
Okay. Boom, why does my heart go boom, boomity boom, 'cause I love you. Was it at 7 or 11:30 or mooning around on the river? Yeah, I don't know anymore now.
Lovely.
Hey.
Oh, bring back a few memories.
It does, isn't it? They used to give me the most peculiar songs to sing. They really did. Do you remember that awful one about ooh, ee, chap, chap, cheek, cheek, but oh God, there were some awful ones they gave me to sing. Down in Nagasaki, where the natives chewed tobacco.
Yeah, the Wimmy Wacky Wacky Woo.
And the Wiki Wacky Woo. Yeah.
What was the Wiki Backy Woo?
God knows. I don't know. I just used to learn
Don't
it.
ask me. Don't ask me.
Honey tobacco, isn't it? Isn't it, Ricky?
Maybe that's a Donna Stell to sing it as well. You have to sing.
Backy.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I just used to learn it. Don't bump into the furniture.
Another donation from Sarah. Sarah Louise, thank you so much for the £5. Let's see if we've got any more questions.
Thank
Sarah.
you, Sarah. I know Sarah.
Oh,
Thank
yeah,
you.
she said actually on the chat, you probably know her.
And she's a very, very nice girl. Thank you very much, Sarah. It's very kind.
Okay, great. We got a question from Caroline. What do you think your characters were doing 10 years after the camp had closed?
Oh, that's a good one. I think, well, for me, I think Spike and April would probably have got married. Spike would have gone back to the tax office, got a mortgage, they would have bought a bungalow somewhere near the coast, probably Crimpton-on-Sea, and got divorced very soon after the first baby was born.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
You're right. I love Spike, not because he played by my lovely friend Jeff, but I loved his innocence, and he was trying to be a comedian, wasn't he? And he'd been taught by the wonderful Ted, but Spike had no idea really what the real world
Not a clue. Not a
was like. And had he worked with some of the audiences that Tony and I had worked with over the years, they'd have eaten him for breakfast. So I think I like to think that Spike would have gone back to the tax office, married gorgeous April, had lots of babies. Two of them were identical twins who they named Stanley and Bruce after their great mates at Matt Fitzgerald.
What would you have done then, David? What would your character have done?
Oh, I think we'd have probably gone cruising, you know, got our act together and gone on the cruise ships, because they were coming in then, weren't they? Or yeah, something like that. Just doing panto here and there, like we did.
I wonder what Peggy would have done.
Oh,
She'd have got
Probably set up a cleaning business.
yes, I think so.
I think I would. My character
lived
would
a life of
definitely-
luxury.
Sorry.
You'd have lived a life of luxury on Clive Dempster's gambling.
Well, no, you see, well, she might have done that, Linda, but she would definitely have gone sheep shearing.
Yeah, you went to Australia, didn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sheep shearing in the outback
Yeah,
was what they were going to do. So I think she'd have got him together. I think she wouldn't have let him squander that much money.
She was
She was fairly frugal, our Gladys, you know. on the
sensible
quiet.
there, wasn't she? Yeah.
What, darling?
She was sensible.
Oh yeah, she was sensible.
She was sensible, and he was just off the
Bless her,
page.
but she was certainly not going to go back to the valleys where she came from.
Well, the squadron leader would become probably a flying doctor or something like that, wouldn't it? In Australia, you think?
Possibly. So she'd become a nurse or something. Knowing Glad, you know. But she definitely, they would definitely go in sheep shearing.
Yeah.
I had a nice comment on your voice, actually, Ruth. Ruth's voice is still as glorious as when she was Fruma Sarah? Was that some kind of character that you played at some
Yes,
point?
I was in the film of Fiddler on the Roof long before Hidey. And in fact, incidentally, just briefly, it's 50 years since that was actually released this year. And I've done a big Zoom on that with renowned people like Michael Paul Glazier and people like that, because they were in the film. I never got any work from it. I was the colour of putty. You couldn't tell what the features were like.
You were brilliant in that, Ruth. I've seen clips on.
I have too.
You were actually brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was long before Hidey.
Yeah,
And as
yeah.
I say, I was hoping that something would come of it, but of course it didn't, because
And
nobody
Hidey
knew
High
what
was
my features were, you know.
Hidey High was meant to be. That's why.
Absolutely. Whatever happens in your life, I always believe that we are born on a path. We can
Yeah.
deviate from that path, but we certainly come back to it.
I agree.
Okay, guys. So
Oh,
I've had a couple of big.
no.
Sorry to interrupt. I've had a couple of big donations come in.
Ricky, what would Ricky have done? Ricky hasn't said where.
Oh,
where
I would have gone back to Mummy and Daddy and Surrey.
oh, okay.
I had a really nice banker, but on the side, I'd be having a lot of affairs with very naughty hippies.
That's fine.
I think.
Fed up with damp chalets.
Yes, absolutely.
It's cool. So, guys, I just need to highlight a couple of big donations that we had. So, Michael is an absolute legend on this call. He's donated another $50, which is $100 total that he's donated. So, thank you so much, Michael, for that.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Yeah, he has asked, how were the working conditions? The pool looked cold and the prop costumes looked uncomfortable. You earned every penny.
Well, if you look at the back of some of the shots, you can see that although we were pretending that it was all warm and lovely, it was in October. We were on the East Coast where you've got awful winds, as we know, and terrible rain. And sometimes we had to go indoors and they had to readjust the scene to go indoors. But if you look at the back of the shots, all the leaves are falling off the trees. It is really, it's bleak.
Cold. It was very cold. It was the end of September and the middle of October. But David Croft used to book the weather. You know, he had a hotline to heaven and he used to get on the phone and book the weather. And we used to call it Croft weather. You know, for all the shows that David did with Jimmy and with Jeremy over the years, all the locations were brilliant sunshine. You know, he had a hotline upstairs somewhere and it was Croft weather. And although it was sunny, it was always very cold.
Very. Because you are on that East Coast, aren't you? The Northeast Coast. And
That's where I'm living now.
Do you remember that terrible coat I used to wear? It was my mother's old fur coat.
Fur coat.
Anything I could keep warm in. We used to call it Oscar.
Pictures of you in the companion book, you know, wearing that fur coat.
Yeah, because quite frankly, I was so cold.
Yeah.
But my mother said, "Here, have this." You know, got it from the back of the wardrobe, and it was moth-eaten and horrible, but you know, it did the trick.
Emily said that. I do remember when we did the pool scene, that, you know, that Hawaiian scene, and
yes,
the canoe race and all that kind of stuff. That was filmed on October the 1st, and the temperature was around 80 degrees Fahrenheit that day. An exception, but occasionally we hit a wall.
Yeah, occasionally you got, you know, the lovely weather, indeed. But do you remember? I mean, we were always worried about, you know, the clouds and the light. And the light went at about 4:30, you know. So therefore you couldn't carry on till 6:30, because normally we would have carried on till about 6:30. But you couldn't very often, you know, and I had to take it indoors and put dingle everywhere. And dingle, ladies and gentlemen, is bits of branch cut off. You used to go get a bit of branch and dangle it in front of the camera.
They did give us some thermal underwear. Do you remember that? And I wouldn't wear mine because I thought it might make me look fat. Did you wear yours, you two? Did you, Ricky? Did you wear yours?
You were obviously privileged. I was never offered thermal underwear. How could you wear thermal underwear under shorts?
No, well, you couldn't, because your shorts were so skimpy.
Yeah, we couldn't.
I didn't wear them because I thought they're going to make me look as if I got big hips. But yeah, no, I had thermal knickers, and in fact, I've kept them as the only souvenir I've got of the show. I've got thermal never worn.
So if you want to make an offer for Lyndall's thermal underwear,
knickers.
Hey, it's a fundraiser. Hey, I just want to catch up just on one or two comments and one or two donations. We've had a donation of 109 SEK. I'm not quite sure what that currency is, but it sounds quite big and impressive. Which is from Silent Film Locations, which says thanks for the memories. Thank you so much for that, Silent Film. And Carol Dreamer. Carol Deemer has donated $5, just saying hello, Linda and Ruth. Hello, Linda.
Oh, and Ruth. That's very kind of her. Thank you very much, Carol. See you soon, hopefully.
Yes.
I'm really sorry, but I have to go. I have a weekly meeting with makes me sound terribly important with people in California and everywhere else. And it's at 8 o'clock every Thursday. But I thank you, everybody.
Lovely to see you, Ricky.
Lovely to see you, Ricky. Stay safe.
Yeah, thank you, Ricky. Take care.
Send our love to
darling.
Nikki.
Bye,
Send
guys.
our love to Nikki.
I will. Ciao.
Thank you. God bless.
Bye, Ricky.
Love to
Thank
Ricky
you.
and Nikki. You take care, both of you.
The best legs in the business.
Yeah.
So we had another question in, just scrolling up now, from Gary. This is a good one. Hi, Ruth and Jeff, and all the team. How much of an influence do you think Simon had on the series? Perfect casting for all roles. Often think of Simon, brilliant actor, as you all were.
I think he had a big influence because, again, as Nikki said, the pilot was a testing ground for us all, including my character, because they didn't know what I was going to do there. So they just said, "Oh, she's a vamp from the valleys." Well, it could have been anything, couldn't it? And I said, "Oh, like 2 tons of nutty slack coming down the mountainside," and they laughed. So that was all right. So I thought, right. And when I met Simon, who was years younger than me, I mean, I think I wasn't quite old enough to be his mother, but nearly. And he was so wonderful. This wonderful light touch, comedic light touch he had, that they saw things happening chemistry-wise. And that's how it started. Because it was, you know, it was at that the very first episode with the pilot, and then it became the very first episode of the whole piece.
He had a wonderful way of being very, very still, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Looking at you with those eyes. I can't do with the glasses on, but he just used to sort of, when Gladys said something flirty to him, he just sort of froze.
Yeah.
And you thought, you could see what he was thinking. You know, the camera photographs thoughts, and it used to photograph his thoughts because, you know, as Geoffrey Fairbrother, he used to think, oops, what am I up against here?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much, Gladys, but, you know, and all that. But he was a wonderful man. Wonderful.
But I mean, having said that, I mean, he taught me so much playing opposite him, and he taught me to be still.
Yes.
And that's the stillness is the biggest thing, because go to any of the great actors, Michael Caine, you know, they're all so still, and it's only the eyes. And even if you have expressive eyes, you have to sort of control those as well. It's a really interesting technique doing anything on celluloid. I think it's really interesting.
I wasn't in the show with Simon. I came when Simon left.
That's
so
right.
I was a massive fan of your program, and I watched it. And to Simon as a straight man around everybody else was an absolutely magnificent. I mean, I do think when David Griffin came in, it was wonderful, as you know, the genius of David and Jimmy once again, because he made David completely different, which still worked in a completely different way.
He was a wide boy.
As you say, Simon's straight man there with all that mayhem going on was what made the whole show lift off the screen. You know, he really was a presence. You know,
the interesting thing, he wasn't the first choice, was he, for the role? David had chosen.
Oh, was he not?
Yes, no.
Who was the choice then?
First.
Right now, I don't know.
John Quayle was at the National, and he wasn't available. They wouldn't release him, so they farmed around and found the assignment. Thank goodness they did.
Yeah, he was wonderful.
The other chap could do the pilot, but he couldn't.
I think it was because, I mean, he'd married one of the Croft girls again, so therefore
Penny.
You had not only Diane, an in-law of Jimmy, you had another one there, you know, who was an in-law of the boss. I think they felt, you know, it was probably a bit difficult, but it all worked out because everybody was so professional and it came from the top. Do you remember that when we used to have these sort of shirts, not shirts, they were polo things, weren't they? Yeah. And we used to also have just something from the show emblazoned. And I'll never forget one. I think I've got one upstairs. Comedy is a serious business. And when we used to get too out of hand, because it was hysterical. I mean, to actually do things with Simon, I mean, you had to stop yourself from laughing, as we know very well in the stage show.
Yes.
Of Hidey. That used to be hysterical.
What happened in the stage show?
Oh, the stage show. There was one night we had to do Good Night Campers, and I'd come stage down, downstage on the right across the stage to meet Simon Cadell, and all he'd done on his upstage ear, he put a lovely earring. But it just looked so daft. And there we were trying to, good night, campers, see you in the morning, good night, and all this business going on. And there was Simon with this upstage ear full of earring glistening, going with not a flicker on his face. We saw there were all sorts of things used to go on.
Naughty.
But we were told.
We'll say that, Ruth, for your benefit, when Simon left and David Griffin took over as squadron leader, Clive Dempster, DFC and Bar, it turned Gladys Pugh on her head because she had been doing all the flirting, and Simon had been doing all the fending off. And then when David came, he was completely opposite. He was doing all the flirting towards Gladys, and Gladys was going, just a minute, hang on, whoa.
It was, but I'd learned so much by that time. I'll tell you, Jeff, just to be technical about it, I'd learned so much from Simon that I took a lot of what Simon did.
Yes, yeah.
And reversed it to me. I'll never forget, because I never told anybody I did that.
There's a whole juxtaposition of the thing.
Yes.
The show survived. The show won. The show stayed strong.
Oh, it did. Because the characters were so good that had been developed. And David's character was he was a wide boy.
Yes.
He was great. He was a great character. And what I did was do a female Simon Cadell, but attitude, not, obviously nothing else, but attitude-wise. And it stood me in very good stead. Very good stead.
He did very well, David, didn't he? Kept us going for another 4 or 5 years, didn't he? I mean, it was
7 years, was it? 7? Was it 7 or 8 we did?
We did, what?
8 full years, yes.
80 to 87, 7 years.
It's amazing how it's still remembered, though.
Wonderful double act. Jeff, you were also a wonderful double act with Paul, with Shane.
Yes.
That kind of balance that they'd put those two together was just so exciting, and also another wonderful couple to watch, and the bounce and the chemistry between those two as well. That was, another joy which will go down in comedy history again.
Yeah, indeed.
Dear old Felix and wonderful Leslie Dwyer.
Yeah.
We were so lucky, weren't we? That we
and
had
Kenny Connor, but Kenny Connor came in and just didn't he? He lifted it again.
Absolutely. So lucky.
Oh, Leslie.
People like that.
I'm just going to catch up on a few comments. Also, just a reminder for anyone watching, if you do have any questions you want me to highlight to the cast, please do donate. This is a fundraiser. Please do hit that $sign and donate some cash. I'm going to a question from Tim. Who's the worst corpser? Was there anyone notorious for giggling and cracking up?
Felix. Come on.
Felix, yes, it's got to be Felix.
Fred Quilly. Because
he was very
a turn.
Did he have those wonderful sayings when he couldn't get things right? And they used to print it on T-shirts at the end. Here we are all, instead of here we are.
Here we are all.
Here we are all. And then
Here we all are. Yeah.
and then there's another one when he said he had to say, "I'm an orphan," and he kept saying, "I am an." And David said, "No, just say I'm an orphan." And then he said to me one day, "I can't do this, I'm a comic." And I said, "Well, just take the word comic out and put the word orphan in. I'm an orphan." And he went, "Oh," and he still got it wrong.
Everybody
He burst out laughing.
Everybody loved Felix, didn't they? He was absolutely
Yeah, it was lovely.
loveliest guy.
So the kindest man on earth.
Yeah, Tony and I were lucky enough to do a lot of theatre shows with Felix. He was just so brilliant, and he knew everybody at the BBC, and everybody at the BBC knew him, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, he was one of the very first warm-up men, wasn't he? At the Beeb.
1,000 scripts in his garage for every show he'd ever warmed up.
Yes.
He had a script from everyone. I think it was about 4,000 scripts in his garage.
And he sold them, and I know who bought them.
Really?
Somebody quite local to me.
Oh,
So,
how wonderful.
those scripts are still around.
What a
Wow, that must
joy.
be priceless, those scripts.
They're quite, because I mean, he did every show, didn't he? I mean, just all the top shows.
He used to go around on the read-through day, didn't he? Getting us all to sign it.
Yeah.
Scripts.
Yes,
So
he did.
so
Yes.
valuable. So
Yes, he
valuable.
did. He did.
Cool. So, guys, just a quick question from Charlotte, who's kindly donated £4.49. Thank you for that, Charlotte. Thanks to all of you for being my inspiration to work at Butlins when I was 18. Do you think you would have made good camp entertainers in real life? That's a good question.
Yeah.
Oh,
My
wow.
daddy worked on a holiday camp, and my very first job, Daddy did the Punch and Judy show. My very first job at the age of 4 was passing up the puppets in the back of the kit, passing them up, and I was paid in donkey rides. So my daddy was a redcoat. So absolutely, and well done for being one. It's the best job. You learn the most in the whole world.
And can I say, I'd like to think that we actually used to work the camps, because Tony and I were a singing act, bit of comedy, but we worked a number of times at the Butlins camps and hotels. And interestingly, the staff at Butlins were told that they shouldn't say Hidey High, because it was frowned upon by the management, because they changed their image. They didn't want this old Hidey High image. But every time we went to do cabaret at one of the camps or one of the hotels, all the redcoats, without exception, asked us if they could be photographed wearing the yellow coats that we wore for our act.
Oh,
You know, funny you should say that. I did a Songs of Praise. I had about 4 to do. And one of them was in Putelli, which was, of course, Butlins holiday camp.
Absolutely.
And they changed the image, as you quite rightly said, David. It was like a glorified holiday camp, really. But they didn't call it a holiday camp now. They called it a centre or something like that, holiday centre. And they asked me specifically, as if you would do it on Songs of Praise, for goodness sake, IDINODO. I mean, please. Oh, God, IDI. Oh, dear, I can't, So anyway, I went onto the centre, the holiday centre, and I said, all right, I won't say anything. Well, I took one step onto the holiday camp centre, and of course, all the people that were staying there went, oh, hello, Ruth, IDI, audio.
Yeah. When Jimmy and David wrote Hidey High, of course, they wanted to film it at Butlins at Clapton.
Yeah.
And they sent the script into the Butlins office, and Butlins said, no way, we just spent millions of pounds trying to upgrade the image. And the last thing we want is for you to remind people what the old holiday camps were like. And then they said, furthermore, if you pursue your association with Butlins, we shall seek legal advice. So they threatened them with legal action.
That was very true, except
Yeah.
I knew Lady Sheila Butlin.
Yeah.
And she told me that she had nothing but, by this time, to do with Butlins. She'd sold out or whatever she'd done. And she said, if Billy had been alive, he would have grabbed it with both hands.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, it was very, very short-sighted of them. Whoever was in charge of Butlins then, very short-sighted.
funny enough, Tony and I were doing a summer season at Clacton in summer season in summer of 1979, and we won the visiting show. And little did we know that Jimmy and David were actually touring Butlins at Clacton, looking at it as a
The venue were there.
And little did we know that these guys would change our lives, and we were just up the road from them.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah,
Missed the point. Totally missed the point, because they didn't think about it being set in the 50s.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do with what was going on now, when the time we made the show, it was set in the 50s, just after the war.
Absolutely. When things were extremely different, even from the end of the 60s to into the 70s, completely different.
But wasn't
that 10 years after the war.
Yeah, it wasn't Warner's just perfect, I think. It was just get that kind of rundown feeling. And it's been the kind of camp that Joe Matlin would own. Because the original camp was built in the 30s and was a prison camp. So it had a good history, but it was...
wasn't it? Italian prisoners of war were interned there.
Prisoners of war and the kinder transport children from Germany were escaping the Nazis. They were put up there.
Yeah.
Was it one of the first, David? Was it the first holiday camp?
No, I think the first holiday camp was Skegness Butlins, wasn't it? I think.
No, there was another one before Billy Butlin got involved.
Right.
There was there was an ex-army bloke that did something, and I thought it might have been that one.
No, I know there's a chalet at Butlin Skegness, which is a listed building. One of the original.
Can I just say at this point that David Webb has got the most wonderful videos, DVDs on his web, which is davidwebb.com, isn't it? But they are wonderful because I've got some and they are so beautifully shot. Jeff as well, and his daughter is presenting them, and they really are a joy of all around that area and everything that's going on around there. And I honestly, if you would like a trip around that area, please go and get one of David's.
They're lovely, aren't they? Yeah,
they're absolutely.
Thank you very much. And I love your books as well. I love your books. You're a wonderful writer. You really are.
I've got them all too, and they're beautiful. They're brilliantly done.
Thank you very much. But I learn a lot from Linda's books on the things that go on in some dodgy parts of big cities. My goodness, I've learned a lot from your books.
Guys, well, I just got a few donations. I just want to catch up on. We've had 3 donations come in. I just want to make sure that they're all heard. Rosie M, thank you so much for your £5. She says, well done, and Heidi hi to you all. Gary Mack, £4.49. Thank you for that. That pushes us to £310. So thank you so much for that.
Well done.
And Gavin pushed us to 310. He says, hi everyone, what memories does Jeffrey have of filming the scene with the horse? Jeffrey, what scene did you do with the horse?
The scene with the horse. It was this wonderful scene when Su Pollard and I were dressed in a pantomime horse. It was in the very first series, actually. It was one of the funniest visual gags ever on any television comedy in the world. We weren't in it because we were supposed to be in the pantomime horse, but it was 2 stuntmen. But it was a wonderful scene where Su Pollard and I were in the pantomime horse. We were trotting away, trying to get into this Fred Quilly's thing with the kids. And then a real horse was delivered in a horse box, and I had to sign for the real horse. I put my hands out down under the neck, and the hands came out from under the horse's face, and I signed this clipboard, handed it back, took the reins, and there were we in a pantomime horse holding a real horse.
The end of that clip.
But just a bit before that, Ruth, there's a real horse took a shine to my pantomime.
Oh God, yes.
Took a shine how? What happened? So a real horse approached you and...
Yeah, I'm getting there. The real horse started to breathe up my nose, but he didn't stop there. He went round the back. all knew what he was trying to do or about to try to do, but I said, and I never forget. I took my fate in my hands and I said to Sue, "Look, you brace yourself. I'm going to eat grass." Fortunately, David Croft leapt forward because he knew horses. He had horses. And he knew their behaviour, and he leapt forward and grabbed the reins of this horse and pulled it away before anything untoward happened. Naughty had happened, but the outcome of the horse scene was that we trotted down to the beach eventually. And suddenly, Mr. Partridge was sitting in the grass having a day off, and he got a banana in one hand and a bottle of whiskey in the other. Yes. And he took a bite out of the banana, and suddenly he watched this thing go by, and the camera cut to what he was looking at, and it was the pantomime horse on top, riding the real horse.
The real horse, yes. Oh, it was funny.
I've never seen anything funny in life. It was the funniest gag ever. And he watched this go by, and he looked at his banana, he looked at his whiskey, and he threw the banana away and took a big glug of whiskey. Yes. That's the tag of the gag. But it was one of the funniest visual images ever on that horse.
It was, wasn't it? It was a fabulous, really funny.
Wonderful timing from Leslie. He got terrific timing, hasn't he? I mean,
oh yeah.
But he's a bright man, Leslie Dwyer, wasn't he?
Lucky to have him.
He used to come to work every day with the Times newspaper. I mean, he used to do the Times crossword. He was a very bright man, and of course, his father had been a famous musical comedian, hadn't he?
That's right.
And tell us tales about sitting on Murray Lloyd's knee.
When he was 10 years old, he shared a stage with Murray Lloyd.
Yeah. Wonderful.
He did. He shared a stage with her. His father was what they call a comedian, Johnny Dwyer. His dad was Johnny Dwyer.
Yeah.
He appeared with Kirk Douglas and Bridget Bardot in a film, hadn't he? He'd had a wonderful career.
Mm.
He's in all the old black and white British movies.
He was in Which We Serve.
Was
he? No, Coward.
Coward.
He was indeed, yeah. Oh, he had a great career. We were lucky to have him.
Yeah, we were. He was very, very good.
And all the wonderful guest actors that came in week after week. John LeMessurier.
John LeMessurier.
Billy Burden was hysterical in that scene farm, wasn't he?
Ronnie Stevens joined us for the Fluorobright toothbrush.
Oh, that's right, yes.
Stevens. And he was such an accomplished actor in lots of comedy. He had a wonderful drunk act, which he used to do, a mime drunk act. We used to stagger and reel about. But he was such an accomplished actor. And when he turned up to do this episode with us, and he filmed it all in the ballroom with us, in the ballroom, on location, and he was terrified. He was nervous. He was shaking like a leaf. And I just think, when a man with his experience, I was in awe of him. He was one of the funniest comedy actors I'd ever seen, and I admired him enormously. And I couldn't bear to think that he was that nervous. He was trembling like a leaf doing that thing. We had to do take after take because he slipped and he dried and he fluffed. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Well, that was going on, But anyway, we got it in the end, and it was lovely.
All that shaking reminds me of the time when Tony and I used to work the clubs in the north of England. It was tough orders. They were handing
you.
Done some damage here tonight. Because dear old Paul had come up through the club as well, and Tony and I used to have all these little jokes between us. We'd all work the same sort of clubs and experience all the audiences and stuff. My goodness, some tales we could tell. If only I could say them in a public place.
No, you can't on public television.
No, but you must get yourself an after dinner act and tell them then.
Like another plug coming up. I now do talks. My life as a Hidey Yellowcoat. If anybody.
Yes, you do. Yes, of course you do. Yes.
Cool. I was going to ask all the cast members just in a moment about their projects, because I'm sure everyone on this call really wants to hear about what you guys are up to. Just got another question in from our quizmaster, Chris. Does Jeff remember Spike saying, "Hello, boys and girls. My name's Mr. Pronounce this correctly, Cunch," and trying not to laugh? I hope I pronounced that correctly. And Chris also donated £5, so thank you so much for that, Chris.
Do I remember saying what?
My name is Mr. Cunch, apparently.
I don't.
No.
I
We
don't.
would never have been allowed to do that.
No. They've got that wrong.
Got that one wrong, yeah.
I feel like that might have been a setup, I'm not sure. But it was worth it for £5. There we go.
Very kind of them.
Can you see this picture?
Yes.
You remember that scene?
Oh, yes.
Last episode when we sat by that pool.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
And Paul did that wonderful line where he said, "Look at all them leaves floating in the pool." And there was no acting required from him. He was actually in tears.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that lovely line, "We've seen the best of it, Spike."
Yeah, that's
forgotten that.
they have the sun, but they won't get the fun.
That's right. Wonderful.
No, and Good Night Campers. You remember Good Night Campers in the ballroom? We were all in tears.
Weren't it? All tears, all crying.
Oh, dear.
Good night, campers. We finished what we started.
That's it, yeah. Good night, Campers.
Now we're broken-hearted. And they cut across to Jimmy and David, who were standing there, tapping their feet, but crying. But
Yes.
this thing. Oh,
Oh, dear.
I grew up going to like holiday camps. My grandparents were just mad about them, like Pontins, like, loads, Pakefield, I think. And that song, Good Night Campers, that was always like the last song for the kids, and then we'd be like carted off to the horrible shallows.
With your babysitter.
No, just the was the 80s, just like kicked in and the door was shut and that was it. Yeah. Missed the 80s. So projects. Let's go into projects. So David, we heard about your DVDs. Linda, I want to hear a bit more about your book. And then Jeff, I want to find out a bit more about your Laurel Hardy tour. And then Ruth, you got any projects? We could have a look at those as well. But Linda, what's your latest book? What's your latest release?
Well, I don't know if you know. I mean, I've written 11 crime novels, and 3 of them have hit the charts. So I'm quite a renowned crime novelist these days, but as well as an actor, I'm still acting. I'm going up for EastEnders tomorrow, but yes. So I do have a new book coming out after Christmas called The Burning Question. That's about an arson attack. The current one is called The Terror Within. That's about a terrorist. Have you read that one, David? Is that the one?
No, I haven't. I just want to say, you are a wonderful writer, and I've said this to you before, but your books are great. Your descriptive work is terrific, and I am a great admirer of your work. I really am. Not just saying it because you're here.
Got in touch with your dark side, my darling, haven't you?
Yes, they're very dark, but it's the kind of the fear of the dark that you can't. The thing about crime, when I write crime, is I want a happy ending. I know the happy ending for me is catching the murderer. So I do write crime novels, and I've got a new one coming out. I've got a website, lindareganonline.co.uk. If anybody wants to come online and anybody wants an autograph one, I'll from tonight I'll donate that money to the Ratlings to our project for tonight.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you so much. That's great. Thank you so much, Linda.
I do. I also do a talk like David, but mine's called Acting Can Be Murder. It's an after dinner talk I do, and it's about my life as an actor, all the people I've worked with and would like to kill. None of you are in it, by the way.
Are you sure?
And how I turned to crime. I do tell a couple of Hidey High stories in it. I tell the one about poor Jeff's face, and the one about hanging the teddy bears.
Oh, yes. Oh,
you hung my teddy bears. Yeah, that goes in as well. So that's what I've been up to. Sorry, I've gone on a bit, haven't I?
That's great. No, that's perfect. Thank you so much, Linda. That sounds awesome. Just before we go on to Ruth and Jeff about your projects, Barry has just donated £5. Thank you so much for that, Barry. Would Ruth and Linda or David like to have appeared in You Rang My Lord? Jeffrey was superb as James 12 Trees. And I totally agree. That was, I think it was on a Sunday, because I remember my family all gathering around the TV, and it's one of those shows where we kind of counted down until it was on, and like no one could like leave the living room. We all had to like sit and watch when You Rang My Lord came on. It was one of our family favourite shows. So the question again, would Ruth, Linda or David like to have appeared in You Rang My Lord?
I want to play Jeff's girlfriend.
David.
We appeared, didn't we, Jeff, in the last episode? I think it was You Rang My Lord. We were on the Engineer show.
Last episode, on the beach.
Yes, that's right, on the beach. So,
I was asked if I would be in it, but you see, I understood, getting back to Simon Cadell, why he wanted to go on, and do something else, because I've been working for 8 years with Jimmy and David and all the rest that were in Hidey High. And I was worried, because I'm a tad older than all you lot. And I was worried that there were people coming up, producers and directors, that I had never worked with. Because in that 8 to 9 years that you were involved with Hidey High, you very rarely worked with the producers and directors that were coming up. So I decided not to do Oh, Dr. Beeching and the one that you're talking about now. Was it a good idea? I don't know. Because I went on to do some very interesting stuff in the theatre. But I'm not sure. You have to do what you think is good at the time, But I have been doing, since we've had the COVID, they've suddenly discovered that I have a reasonable voice for radio. So I've been doing an awful lot of radio. I've done a couple of things. I've done a couple of films down here in Wales, because I live in Wales now. And I've done a comedy in Wales, but I've had a very interesting comedy series. It's in its 3rd series down here called Welcome Strangers. And it's a very wry look at the Welsh. It's very funny. So I've been doing that, and I've got some more to do of those. And I should probably go back to the theatre, but of course I had a very, very big accident, as you probably know, about 2 years, coming up for 3 years, that has stymied my my getting on stage, actually, because I broke my pelvis and I broke other bits of my body. So it's been a tough sort of 3 years physically, but I managed. And of course, now with John passing away, it's yet another challenge for me. So but I have the memories.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had CC just on the chat. Heard Ruth as Dot Squires on Radio 4 earlier this year.
Yeah.
Sensational performance, she says.
Yeah, that was interesting. Very interesting to do. Yes, Dot Squires is where I did her with a musical play about a year previous, and then I was offered this very interesting play for radio, and it was great joy to do, because again, she was completely over the top. Dot Squire, she was fabulous, and funny enough, my voice sort of sounds like hers. My singing voice sounds a bit like hers, even today.
This is Dorothy Squires we're talking about, isn't it?
Yes, Dorothy.
Tony and I actually worked with her in 1972 at a big club in
She's a bit of a girl, wasn't she?
She had this reputation, but she was lovely to us.
She had a heart of gold, you see.
Yeah, she was. But she was great. But that was a memorable week.
It's a great story how she was born in a caravan. We weren't quite sure had Romany blood in her, but she sort of half made out that she was, half. Well, I might be,
Love her recording with Russ Conway, Say It With Flowers.
Yes, that was a great song.
It was a great song.
That she wrote.
Yeah.
That was one of the ones that she started, She was a great character to play.
Yeah, she's just before Bassie, really, wasn't she?
Yes.
No.
Yes, she was. But of course, and her life itself was quite extraordinary.
Married to Roger Moore, wasn't she?
Marrying Roger Moore, never getting over him, and having this sort of terrible, chip on her shoulder all about Roger Moore, poor woman, But she was great to play.
Yeah.
There's a lot to get your teeth into there.
We've just had a donation from Philip. He was one of the children that you see throughout the show. He was sitting next to the naughty boy during Wizard Willie's magic show.
Oh, he emailed from him. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
when Mr. Parker used to put a gag around this kid, didn't he? He shoved something in his mouth. Just he could get away with that today.
That's right, you couldn't wait. Exactly. My daughter, who's now Lowry, is what, 45. She was in the audience of that, and they panned her because they wanted a little girl that sort of just looked at it and thought, what on earth is going on there? And Lowry had one of those faces, you know, and they panned, so they said, can't you sit in and look at
my two daughters were bridesmaids in, you know, when you married, lads married.
Yeah, that's right, they were.
They were in the other wedding, and they were bridesmaids, and they've still got the bridesmaids' dresses, would you believe?
Oh, lovely.
Kept those.
Lovely.
Always look at them, and you know,
and Peggy was the bride, well, maid of honor.
Yes, she was your maid of honor.
Maid of honor. Do you remember that what used to make me laugh was typical of the 50s, because there weren't many flowers. There weren't the beautiful flowers that you can get today. And all they had were those great big pom-pom carnations. And they looked so stiff. And I can still see Pollard with all these carnations around her head. You know? Oh, dear. No, some great memories.
The church we went to was my local church here, at Lawford near Manningtree.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. So we often go for walks up there and just think of the great day that we had the wedding there.
Lovely.
Frank Williams played the vicar who married you, of course.
That's right.
Frank Williams.
He became the bishop and you rang me, Lord, but he was still the vicar, and David got him to be the vicar. And he said that the verger, if he'd been alive, Teddy Sinclair, who he passed away, the verger would have been in it as well with him, but because Teddy had died, they got Colin Bean, who played Sponge in Dad's Army, you know. Laura said, I'll do it, Mr. Mannering. I'll get it, Mr. Mannering. You know, just one line here and there. They got him in to play the verger. And I remember having long chats with Colin about his career.
Well, I first met Colin Bean in Watford Rep.
Yes.
In pantomime. And I think it has to be said about Jimmy especially, was a great one for employing all his mates.
That's right.
He really, really was. He was absolutely super at it, you know.
When he booked me, when he rang me to ask if I'd like to play Spike in this new show they were doing called Hidey, he told me that he hadn't already asked you, he was going to ask you to play Gladys Pugh.
Yes. But you didn't know who I was because I hadn't done anything.
No. But of course, I knew that you'd work with him at Watford.
Oh, yes, I had.
Michael Knowles, you know, from Ain't Half Hearts, and later you rang Michael Knowles and John Clegg and Mavis Pugh. They all worked with him at Watford, you know, which was amazing.
Yes, they were great.
Powell was at drama school with him.
Who?
Brenda Cowell. Brenda Cowell, she was in You Rang Me, Lord.
Oh, yes.
She was at RADA with him.
Right. They were great people for supporting, you know, the industry from the inside.
Yes.
And I'll never forget. Do you remember all the extras that we had, Linda, that used to just change wigs and change their costumes?
Yeah.
But he had, David now this says, got the most wonderful caterers. Because he always said, this was their 2 or 3 weeks holiday down there. And of course they loved it because they used to come year in, year out.
But they were all acts, weren't they? They were all turns in their own right. So we used to have wonderful, wonderful evenings talking to them about their acts.
Yeah.
And, you know, my dad was a variety agent, so I knew a lot of them. So, yeah, we used to have, my husband's just bought me a cup of tea. Thank you very much, Dad.
Oh, Brian. Good old Brian.
Brian, great.
Hello, darling. He doesn't want to say.
One sugar, please, Brian.
Everybody would love you to say hello. He's got his PJ.
Hello.
Hello, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Behave yourself. Oh, you look beautiful.
Doesn't she look beautiful?
Yes, she does. Jeffrey looks quite handsome too.
Yeah.
You're a gorgeous boy.
Yes, David's looking good.
He's in his PJs drinking his hot chocolate.
Oh.
Does Brian want to stay with us for the rest of the call? We really don't mind if Brian wants to stay.
I'm watching a very nail-biting piece next door.
I told you I've got him into crime. He's terrified of me.
Oh!
Terrified of my books, but I'm lying in bed sometimes at night and he's still watching a crime. All I can hear is people being shot and screaming. And I think, oh, that's quite good. I'll write that in the next book. But, hey ho.
Ruth, I spent a lot of time talking to Jimmy in his later years, and he told me when he was thinking of having you in the show, he said Ruth was the most beautiful girl. He said, and it had your hair. He described as Swansea black. Your hair.
Back in a minute. I'm back in a minute.
Yes, it was pretty black.
When you went for your audition, you wore these wonderful tight red trousers, I think he said. So he was enamoured of you.
Oh, bless.
Well, I think that was when I first went to No, actually, what happened was I had to borrow a pair of pants from his wife, Gilda, when I went to audition for the pantomime. And I wanted to play Principal Boy. But anyway, I was given the Principal Girl in this Aladdin. But the following year, I played Principal Boy for him. And I played 4 Principal Boys for him after that. And then he very kindly wrote Gladys for me, which was very nice. And that came about because at 3 a.m. when we used to do these technicals, and my mother was always on standby to come and collect me from Watford to take me over to Hatfield, God love her, you know, and I couldn't afford a taxi or anything like that. I used to come out with Gladys, well, with a Welsh accent, just to make everybody laugh, you know, because they were a bit sort of grueling. 3 a.m, you know, his version of Curry's Waterfalls wouldn't work and things like that.
Remember those Curry's Waterfalls? Remember those? My goodness.
Yes. Well, yes, we had stirrup pumps.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it as long as I live. At the side of the stage, because he decided he was going to have me singing.
Yeah.
These, you know, waltzing jets of water.
Yeah, the waltzing waters, weren't they?
Yeah, it didn't quite work out that way, but he did his damnedest.
So did you first meet David Croft at the park by climbing up those steps to Jimmy's flat in Westminster? Did you ever go there?
Oh yes, I did. When I had to go for the audition for well, you know, because they had to sort of see me, even though you'd only seen me about 4 weeks before. You know, I'd been doing something for him. I think it was Stop the World or whatever it was. Because I had quite a lot of musicals for him. This is Jimmy now. And I was doing Under Milk Wood with wonderful actors like Ray Smith and people like that down in Cardiff. So I had to get on this train, go up to, you know, the flat in Victoria. And of course, because when you're at home, you know, you're doing Under Milk Wood. And so my accent was very, very quite sort of thick. And especially if I got a bit nervous. So I went in there, I think I was a bit late or something. I knocked on the flat door. I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Jimmy. I'm ever so sorry." And David Croft said to me, "Do you always talk like that?" I felt such a fool. I really did. You know?
Paid off, didn't it? It paid off.
Yes. I said, "Well, you know, you know, I explained that I was doing Under Milk Wood at night, you know, and it was a very, you know, that was a Welsh accent. I said, "I'm sorry, I'm probably a bit thicker than I normally would be."
We haven't mentioned dear old Paul much this evening, have we? And we should do, because he was quite brilliant, wasn't he?
What's that?
Paul Shane.
Sorry, David, before we get to Paul, we just had another donation. Just want to make sure I keep on top of those, because we really do appreciate every pound that comes through, as this is a fundraiser. This one is from Sarah Louise. This is lovely, Linda. She and Brian are my idols. By the way, we had lots of messages when Brian popped on. We had lots of messages saying how lovely it was to see Brian.
Oh, I have to get him back in a minute.
Yeah, bring him back. Turn the thriller off. Turn the TV off.
He would love it if he said hello to her, because she's a massive fan of George and Mildred. So I'll try and get him back, Sarah, for you, because she's so lovely, Sarah. God bless you.
Okay, her question actually was, what's your all-time idol, Linda, as you and Brian are her idols?
Oh, bless you. Who is my all-time idol, Sarah? Who is that the question?
Yeah. Who's your all-time idol, Linda?
Oh, well, I work with so many wonderful people. Somebody once asked me that. I mean, it's hard to say of all the people I've worked with. I think if I was to say who was my idol in the theatre, when I was with the Royal Shakespeare Company, David Suchet taught me everything I know. I love David Suchet. He is a massive big idol of mine. And on film, I played the lead in the first episode of Minder, and George Cole taught me so much. George Cole and David Suchet as far as work goes. But of course, my biggest idol in life is my husband. And Jeff Holland, because he was my lovely boyfriend in Hidey High, and I adored working with Jeff. And actually, just while we're on the subject, can I tell you how wonderful Jeff's one-man show on Laurel and Hardy is?
Yeah.
Because it really is something worth seeing. If you like comedy and you like Laurel and Hardy, and who doesn't, I couldn't recommend that show high. He is superb.
Jeff, tell us more about the show.
I certainly will. Well, it's something I've wanted to do for a long time, and I got the idea together back in the 70s when I thought Laurel and Hardy were back on television, and I've always been a huge fan. And you guys in Hidey High will know that Paul Shane and I were big fans of Laurel and Hardy together, and we talked about it so much that Jimmy and David actually wrote it into the show at one point.
Yes, yeah, they did.
With the Army assault course, there was some Laurel and Hardy business going on between Paul and I there. And occasionally we do the Hawaiian bar in the ballroom. He'd say something to me and we'd look at each other and we just go, Laurel and Hardy nod. And then they wrote it into the stage show. When we did the stage show in the summer season, they got us singing The Trail of the Lonesome Pine, dressed as Laurel and Hardy, which we loved doing every night. We had a wonderful time doing that. But, it's been my pure joy to be able to get this show on his feet. And it's basically a story of Laurel and Hardy's life told by Stan, played by me, to an imaginary Oliver Hardy who was lying in his sickbed because he had a massive stroke at the end of his life and he'd lay in bed for months before he finally died. So this is Stan Laurel visiting Oliver Hardy in his bedroom and just talking to him because there's nothing else he can do really. He's just standing talking, reminiscing, and the bulk of the text was written by a wonderful writer who I met completely by accident, which it all fell into place as it should do, like what it's meant to be. A lady called Gail Lowe, who is an award-winning playwright, who's very, very good at writing plays for one person or just two people. She's written some wonderful plays. And when we met for the first time, Elizabeth Council had got me to meet her because she was doing a play about a wonderful, horrible, actually, Jewish lady who betrayed thousands of her own people to the Nazis during the Second World War in order to survive. Oh, yeah. It's a horrendous story, but it was based on the truth. And she said, well, come and see this play. We were meeting at this charity bash. And she said, come and see the play. And we did. We went to see it. And the writing was amazing. The writing was just phenomenal. And I met Gail Lowe after the show in the bar over a glass of wine. And she said, oh, you're the man who wants to do the one-man show about Laurel. Stan Laurel, are you? And I said, oh, she told you, did she? She said, yes. And she said, all right, when do we start?
Oh, how lovely.
That was it. That was it for me. It had fallen into place. And we got together. I gave her all the research.
You wrote a lot of it, didn't you?
Sorry,
you wrote a lot of it.
I put all the comedy in.
Yes, you did.
All the comedy in, yes. But Gail wrote the bulk of the text. She said, I can write stuff, but I'm not a playwright. I can't construct a play. But she does, and she does it beautifully. I can't begin to, you've got to see, you've seen it now, even David, bless him, he filmed it for me as well. It's a it's a piece I'm very proud of, and I've had three sellout seasons at Edinburgh with it at the Fringe, and I'm hoping to go back next summer too, in 22.
Well, that's great.
A few comments from on the chat about your tour, Jeffrey. We did have someone earlier saying that they saw you in Edinburgh and they thought you were excellent. I need to scroll back to find that. We also had someone, the Silent Film Locations, asking if you are recording it for a DVD, and then the other question was, any chance you might tour the show in the US? So
I'd love to. I would love to go to the US with it, because the US is full of Laurel and Hardy fans, and I'd love to take it over there. It's just the logistics and the cost and the expense of doing it over there that is just a bit forbidding at the moment. But
find a backer over there, Jeff.
well, that's you find me one, darling. You find me one.
Or anyone kind of on this chat right now, if you know someone who might invest in taking the tour to the US, well, why not? And Jeff, is it going to be turned into a DVD?
No.
No,
until I'm dead. Not until I'm dead. I've got it recorded because my dear friend David Webb recorded it for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a version of it on DVD, but that's private and it's not available.
No.
But it will be after my death. So there you go.
We hope it's not for a very, 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 very long time.
Well, I do hope so.
You know, it's very healthy to me.
Not just yet, I hope.
And we had a good question come in from the Croft and Perry podcast. Has anyone got any favourite episodes? I know we did cover this on the last one, so maybe if there's any other episodes that you really enjoyed, other than the ones that you mentioned on the last reunion call.
I loved the one where Gladys, we went to the cinema, didn't we? The old Electric Palace.
Oh, that was
and
people wanted to see Bambi.
Yeah,
I want to see Bambi.
And Gladys fell asleep and had this dream, ridiculous dream, and we were all dressed up as RAF officers, and
that was great.
The piano was the Warsaw Concerto or something.
That's right. It was great, wasn't it?
And Peggy was there, George Paul, wasn't she? Hey, turned out nice again.
Yes.
That was
great, wasn't it? That was a really good episode.
That was the episode where Jeff and Shane hung all my teddy bears.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I cried.
Corned beef sandwich, sir. Was it the corned beef sandwich that Ken Connor came in?
Yes, that's right.
There's a wonderful outtake actually in that cinema scene where we filmed it, and all the cast went in to sit in the seats because Ben Harris and Diane Holland came in first, and Ben had a line, "Shall we sit in the back row, darling?" And she said, no, Julian, come along, we'll sit here. And then when we did the take, on this one particular take, they said, and action. And Diane said, "Shall we sit in the back row, darling?" And Ben said, "No, that's my line, darling." He turned it on his head, which is so funny. So funny.
Yes. That's what tiredness does to you, doesn't it? Sometimes you get so tired and you're up very early in the morning and you're working long days, and then suddenly you just get brain scrambled and you just do silly things or say silly things.
Do you remember, Ruth, do you remember sitting in that pool of mud on the beach when everybody was caught on the beach and you were
oh God, yes.
Up to there in mud,
in quicksand, though. It
was awful.
Awful.
I know.
But a few came back. That was one of the best episodes we ever did.
A few came back.
Yeah. That RAF.
A great episode.
That wartime spoof.
Yeah.
And those two that played the actor.
Yes.
Those two actors were very good.
And Sorrel Johnson, who played the girl, she went on to play Katie Rabette's lesbian friend in You Rang My Lord.
Oh, did she?
Yes. Yeah, very pretty girl.
But they were very, very good.
It's like a black and white movie, wasn't it? You thought it was a genuine black and white movie.
And that was a set that was created within the ballroom.
Yeah.
Yes.
They built the whole thing within the ballroom.
Yes, that's right. No, it was. It was one of my favourites. That I liked that episode. Yeah. It was lovely.
Then there was a kind of going over the assault course at the garrison.
Oh, do you remember the assault course?
Swinging through the water and effing and blinding.
Yes, I saw that the other day. And you had to win. You won, didn't you? One of either you or Tony won. And one was at the beginning and one was at the end.
I was at the beginning.
That's cheating.
Oh yes, that was hideous. I was watching that the other day thinking, my God, they had to do all that.
Yeah, it was great fun though.
Cool. So guys, we got 11 minutes of the stream left.
You're bitter then. I don't think I'm
I would love to. Can I get Brian to say hello to Sarah because she's donated?
Yes, come on.
Yes, please bring Brian.
Fan of Brian. So I'm going to leave the room for 2 seconds. I'll be back.
All right,
All right, cool. Just while we're waiting for Linda, we had a couple more comments from Charlotte. Bambi still makes her laugh, and Ruth needs to say Tony's. I'm not quite sure how to say this.
No.
Trattoria.
Trattoria.
Say that again, Ruth. We got the camera on you now.
Trattoria. God knows where I got that from, but I did.
Graham Stark was the.
Yeah, Ruth, I'll tell you where you got that from. Exactly where you got it from. Shaney, bless him, Paul Shane, misread it at rehearsals.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and he said it was Tony's Trattoria, and so he misread it because he wasn't very good at reading, bless his heart, and he slipped up over that one, and he said it was Tony's Trattoria. And then when it came to you
said Trattoria, didn't I?
Picked up on it, and it became a Gladys thing straight away. And it was brilliant. Yeah.
Ow, sorry.
Here he is.
There's Brian.
It's Brian Murphy.
Hello, Brian.
Hello, my sweetheart.
Say hello.
How are you?
All right. You all right?
You're looking very well.
Oh, thank you.
Good.
Yes,
We miss you.
Yes, we
Yes,
do.
miss you too, darling.
Mm.
But now I'm a bit freer.
Yeah.
I'll come and visit you
We
all.
saw him yesterday.
Yes, that would be lovely. Now you got to say, if Sarah's there, isn't she?
Sarah there?
Louise.
Yep.
Sarah
Sarah's here.
Yes. Say hello to you.
Where is Sarah? Where is she?
Can't see
I want
you,
to
She's
see
Sarah's
her.
on the chat. She's on the chat.
on the chat. So say hello.
She's on the
and
chat.
say thank you for all the things.
Yeah,
you
I
said.
know.
So go on, go ahead. Feels like my ventriloquist dummy.
Am I thinking right now? Hi, how are you? Hello. Hello, Sarah.
She can't speak back. She just talked. Say thank you, Diane.
Well, thank you for all the wonderful things and gifts that you keep giving to me. I'm absolutely flattered.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for our birthday thing.
And I'm adoring the last one of the little gifts you gave me, amongst many other, was in the summer wine, was a little badge of Alvin, which was perfect because on Sunday, was it? We were talking about the last of the summer wine.
Not Sunday, but yesterday, wasn't it?
Oh, it was whatever day it is. Well, I'm ancient. I don't know what day it is, and it doesn't really matter, does it? It's only when you've got to be on shoot, on location at 8 o'clock in the morning. Oh, thank goodness I don't have to do that anymore. I don't think I'll be up to that anymore. Do you guys still do it?
I missed the bacon rolls on the old wagon.
That was the only thing that would lure me in, yeah. The bacon roll. The smell of that got you going, didn't it? The adrenaline. But I couldn't do the hours now. It's so long, isn't it?
They are long hours. I mean, I went back. I do suddenly, I don't know why, but I've been written as the mother of the gay. I'm the mother of the gay. I've done 2 films playing the mother of a gay in it. So I think that must go back to when I was the mother of the gay in Little Britain. I don't know, but that's getting up.
I was just thinking that, actually. I was literally just thinking that.
Yeah, so I've got two films like that down here. But I don't mind getting up fairly early. It doesn't worry me too much.
No, it's getting up and doing things, though, isn't it? It's all I want you're up.
Your brain in action.
Yeah.
I expect you to remember lines and then still remember them at 8 o'clock in the evening.
We've got lots of comments for Brian. I just want to go through a few. So Rosie, hi again to the wonderful Brian. And then we have CC, been watching Brian and Uther in action this afternoon, so lovely to see him. David, hi Brian. Sarah Louise, hi Brian.
Lovely.
Rosie, also love George and Mildred. Hope Su Pollard is okay. She is okay. She is on tour which is why she's not here today. But yeah, a lot of love for Brian in the house. And guys, look, we got 6 more minutes to go before we wrap. I'm going to keep to the time this time, unless you guys want to stay late. I don't know. But if you do want to make any final donations, please do. At the end of the day, this is a fundraiser. If you've got any questions for any cast members, please do let us know. Otherwise, I'm going to chuck a question over to Brian. And Brian, I'm just wondering what your favourite episode of Hidey might be, if you have a favourite episode at all.
Jimmy, can I tell you a bit of news about Hidey?
Please do.
When it first went out, I was doing a new series called The Incredible Mr. Tanner, because sadly, as you all know, Uther had died, and the studios were suddenly empty, and they were all saddened, obviously, by Uther's demise. But nevertheless, they said, "What we're going to do next?" And they approached me. And they said, well, we're quite happy to still pay you the money that you were booked for George and Mildred. But we've got an empty studio, and we wondered whether you would do something else for Brian Cook and John Mortimer. Thank you, Vicar. And if I could perhaps try that. And I did it with Roy Kinnear. And we did The Incredible Mr. Tanner, which went out on Southern Television, or Thames Television as it was then, and it went out at the same time as Hidey. And guess who won? We got wonderful notices, but we couldn't put in the same amount of audience, and Hidey got so. But nevertheless, of course, I couldn't watch Hidey because I was busy doing this particular series.
You watched it a lot since.
I watched it a lot since, and with her and what's her name?
What?
Yeah, somehow. I know we go to bed together, but I don't know what. No, right, sorry, mate. And but it obviously proved a great success, and part of me wished that I could have been in it. But at the time, of course, I was working with who was a lovely friend and mate and colleague, was dear old Roy Kinnear. People remember Roy Kinnear, won't they?
Yes.
He was a nice, happy soul to work with. But isn't that extraordinary that at the same time we both went out, Hidey and The Incredible Mr. Tanner. And if you hadn't gone out at the same time, or we hadn't, we might still have been talking about The Incredible Mr. Tanner, mightn't we? It would have had a chance, but it didn't have a chance of going on the same night. Well, no, never mind. You can't win them all, can you?
You're not bitter, are you, Brian?
No, he's not bitter.
Just a bit more love for Brian. A message from Charlotte. We love you, Brian. A message from Caroline. Hi, Brian. Lovely to see you. Still watch George and Mildred and Man About the House today with my kids. And Gary Mack. So lovely to see the incredible Brian. Lots and lots of love for you, Brian. Everyone just is desperate to see you.
Oh, bless him.
You should have an OBE, shouldn't he?
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Oh, big age, yes. As they call them. Well, what's that remarkable?
My mum used to call it other buggers' efforts.
What was that, Bruce?
My mother used to call it other buggers' efforts.
Oh, yeah.
What's amazing is that people are able to still watch our old programs.
Yeah.
Yes. Isn't it wonderful?
We're talking about programs that were made years and years, decades ago. And if we'd have been continuing as we started out as actors on the stage, we would have been forgotten by now, wouldn't we?
Absolutely.
But there they are. They've still got them in cans.
Yes.
And they'll probably bury them. And when this planet disappears eventually, they'll find them somewhere else, won't they?
Yes.
And they'll start playing them out and say, this is what they were watching that one. No wonder it blew up. But anyway, it's nice that you're doing this to raise money things, isn't it?
Yes, lovely.
So far, we've raised, just to let you know, £340. And it's just been pushed up to 340 by Martin Brooke, who's donated 10, who's asked a bit of a cheeky question, but he donated money, so I might as well ask it, which is, could I have a kiss from Linda? April, Linda, please. Obviously down the camera. And then he says, sorry, Brian.
Bless
Oh, we missed
you.
it. The camera went on Jeff. Hang on. Brian, say something so the camera stays on. All right, and blow. Yeah. Perfect. There you go. There you go. That's what you get for £10. Thank you. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you for your donation. Thank you.
Well done.
Cool. So, just going to go through any more comments. Again, more love for Brian. Yes, Brian Murphy, OBE. We got there.
Yes.
Remember Brian in The Bill playing Danny the elf in one episode?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes, indeed.
Yes, we love that.
Yes.
One of the favourites.
But you didn't really know whether he was an elf or not, did you? Because he suddenly looked out the window and the elf had disappeared.
And he magicked all the mince pies up.
But I'm an avid watcher of The Build now. I think it was such a brilliant programme, and about the police and everyone, all the actors in it were so brilliant and things, weren't they?
Yes.
British television's done some bloody good things, hasn't it? And its sitcoms, dare I say it, yes, I'm going to, were very good indeed back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Because I tell you why.
Standard.
Yeah.
It's been
You know why, Ruth? Because families sat down and watched television.
Absolutely.
And we had to produce something that would be acceptable to all ages, and it did, didn't it?
Those are the sort of shows that you did, Brian.
Yeah.
And that Hidey High,
Yeah.
is in that category.
Yes.
You know.
They also had a BBC writers' room, so they let their writers develop. Now you've
Absolutely.
got you've got to try and earn a living and write, and young writers can't do that.
No.
So
Last time I saw you, Brian, we were playing in Casualty, you and I.
Yes, and we were working together, weren't we?
Yes, we were.
It was Casualty, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Casualty, isn't it?
Yeah, I always get them mixed up. Hobbies to see it. And we were in Cardiff.
That's right.
We were in
Casualty.
Cardiff, yes.
Yeah.
I
was playing a sort of femme fatale.
Yes.
We were in that old people's home.
Yes, and we worked on stage together, dear Ruth.
Oh yes, we have.
Yeah. Brian, you and I did Run for Your Wife together, didn't we?
Didn't we just?
What a that was.
In Canada, didn't we? We covered the frontier, didn't we?
And we met playing husband and wife in Wife Begins at 40, the play.
Yeah,
oh, of course,
yes,
yeah. Was that Eastbourne?
Yeah, you came down to see it.
I did.
And then, that's when we fell in love 30 years ago.
Right.
I've got that to blame, have we? Right. and dear old, yes, what we were doing Run for Your Wife with Jeff and I together.
Bill Pertwee.
And I remember, dear old John, do you remember Jeff with Bill arranged what we called Bill's tours?
Yes.
Remember that? And he found something every day to entertain us, didn't he? On boats.
Oh, that's great.
Like that.
Oh, he was nice.
He was a nice man, wasn't
lovely
he?
man.
A great man and a great loss to us.
Yes.
Anyway, it's 9:00 now, and I'm going for my dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I'm afraid
I'm
I've
going
got
for
to
my
go
breakfast,
too.
so you're all right.
And I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had your chocolate?
Has he got?
No.
No.
But it's
Have
funny.
you
I was
chocolate
just
yet?
deciding on that. I
Right,
love chocolate. Do you like the hot chocolate?
I like hot chocolate.
Yes. It's not cocoa. It's
Hot chocolate.
It's chocolate, isn't it?
Very different.
It's great. Oh yeah. Hey.
Well, you can go put the kettle on because I need.
All right.
I need a bit of it. You're pushing
Great
me
to
off.
see you guys and people
God bless.
tuning in.
God bless.
Take care.
Bye.
Talk soon.
Yeah, guys, I think we'll wrap because you guys have been amazing. You've been here for 2 hours answering a lot of questions from the fans. I just want to thank everyone for being part of this fundraiser call. We have raised the grand total of, drum roll, I should get a button to do that, £340 and 47 pence. So thank you so much.
Well done, everybody.
Well done. Really well done. Thank you, Sarah Louise.
Thank you on behalf of the Lady Ratlings.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Thank you.
Lovely. Ruth, take care, love.
Yes, God bless you, love. I'll see you soon.
Linda.
Let's all see each other soon.
We will. Bound to. Yeah. God bless.
See you, David.
Yeah, my love,
Love to Tony.
Thank you, darling.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, loves. Bye-bye.
God bless you.
Bye-bye, Jeff. Bye-bye, Linda. God bless
Bye,
you.
darling. God bless you.
Cool, guys, that was the show. Thank you so much for watching. Please do like the video, leave me a comment below, and subscribe to the channel. I will be working on more fundraising reunions from here in. There is one hopefully coming up with Black Books. Red Dwarf probably won't happen, but Black Books is almost definitely going to happen. And please do follow me on Instagram to get all the latest updates. That's instagram.com/the Kevin Durham. Guys, thank you so much again for staying with us. It's been a long old stream, over 2 hours. If you've been with us for the whole way, thank you, thank you, thank you. Every little penny that you have donated today is going to make a huge difference. And once again, thank you so much for watching. I've said that a lot now, haven't I? That's getting annoying. And have a good evening, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.
Leave meeting.